The tavern door is opening. Get that open.
Nice.
Oh, tell me about the tavern we are in.
Oh, Ryan. Okay, I'm gonna give a little history lesson here because I have been here many times. This place is called the Shake Hands Laughing.
Oh.
And I happen to know the tavern mistress. I know her pretty well. She's a beautiful woman. So beautiful. She has hazel eyes and a hypnotic smile. Oh, and as we walk in, the eye contact that she makes with me is sustained and electric and suggestive. But it is broken when a female at the bar there asks, Grace, can I please have another ale? The bartendress goes over to this other patron. This patron I also recognize as well. Her beauty is striking. It's accentuated by predominant large red lips. As she speaks, you can kind of tell that she has a really vast knowledge about lore, about culture, and about history. It's vast. But she really doesn't show any delusions of grandeur in this, and is honestly pretty humble in her manners. There's also a nice band that's playing. It looks like there's 4 young men playing guitar, a bass, a mandolin, or banjo of some sort, a cello perhaps, and they're playing softly in the corner. This place is a clean, rustic place. It is a venue for certain bards and minstrels that are on the road, and I'm glad we're here. Grace generally has a good clientele, so I'm stoked we're here. I didn't recognize it when you led me in with a sack over my head, so
we weren't going to mention that, but yes.
Well, okay. Well,
what are your first impressions, kind of as it regards to the whole series?
This to me is Rand changing from a boy to a man. We saw in the first couple chapters that he was getting more interest in the village council village council stuff. He was getting more interest in Pat and Fane actually addressed him as a man for the first time. He was looking for, to him, he had kind of reached that level of between, all right, I'm kind of a man, but I'm kind of still a boy, because this is what it seems like Edmonds Field does to young men, certain young men anyways. Perrin is super mature. He's had a job. I don't know how long he's had that job, but this is his occupation. I mean, he's been in trade school for at least a year, I'd imagine. Mm-hmm. Rand is working his farm, and Matt's still they're questioning whether he should even get married. So to me, this is, all right, everything that you feel secure about, your house, your bow, your cart, even Bella's gone, even and your dad, who's like the most stout dude of all time, he's Tam Althor. That sort of thing to me is like, all right, this is the difference between Rand being still kind of a boy, and then now being the man. And in fact, when in the beginning of the last chapter, when Tam covers Rand's mouth from making noise from the Trollocs, and then the very next chapter, Tam Althor is so disoriented that Rand has to do that same move. And in fact, he calls his mom by his first name. He's starting to just shift into adult mode, into peer mode, instead of being mommy and daddy. He's like, Carrie wants you to be quiet. Shh, Tam, and he's covered his mouth, and all this stuff is just more assertive dominance, not dominance in a bad way, but dominance in a necessary way, in a growth.
pales in comparison to what's going to be coming up. But it starts off with that. He like, that's kind of a, oh my God, ground shaking. Like, wow. First off, not only does I might not get what I think I'm going to be, my future, but the person who I thought I was going to be with might not even want that. And that, so we have that revelation, and then we have the Dark Rider teaching him the concept of fear itself. And then we have, just everything.
Well, yeah, we actually have more than just a Dark Rider. We have just crazy monsters. Ryan, we have crazy monsters that are suddenly, that didn't exist. And in fact, Lan kind of says, well, before tonight, I bet you there's only like a dozen of people below the spine of the world that even saw Trolloc. So they're part of this rare group to not only see a Trolloc, but a Myrddraal as well is nuts. I mean, yeah, it's just unfathomable if we try to put it in our own like sense of things and go, okay, well, that's like a herd of like 100 bear running, and systematically killing certain people and not killing others, or something like that. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and as a piece of literature, it's so cool because it stands alone as a book. And moment to moment, everything stands alone. We have the moment when Rand is dragging his dad back to Emmons Field, and he has these reveries of hope, positive memories that are fueling him, and then they get dashed. And that has a really powerful effect for the reader. And upon the second read through, it really hit me again. But if you put that into and compare it to the whole entire series, you really see that this is the last time he feels genuine hope, and the strength he gets from kind of his way of life is that this is the last time we're seeing this. Everything is scales up from here on out.
Right. And that's because his frame of reference expands as well. All he knows is, he's on this farm, and the big town is the Two Rivers, and they actually went to the mire way over there, like a day away. But I mean, they don't know anything. And you pointed that out last time, that these guys don't know anything. Whatever they're doing, they're just basing it on things that they read or whatever. So when you have, to me, this is Rand running across that cartoon bridge, and the bridge is like crumbling behind him as he's running, and he's looking, and he's just seeing, he just needs to get to the other side. But then when he's at the other side, it's like, well, now what? I don't really know what to do. This was the bridge I always walked, and now it's gone. So to me, like these two chapters, and especially like when he was talking to Nynaeve, it was just like a slow motion punch that just went through him, and he's like, no. And he's like, but I got here as quick as I can. That whole thing was just so, that bridge behind him was just being severed all along the way. And Moiraine was able to save his dad. We know that. But in the meantime, all she did was take him all the way across that bridge and said, look, yeah, that bridge is destroyed. Trollocs and Fades are going to keep coming here. Do you want all these people to die because of you, punk?
Yeah. And, at the end of this chapter, we have that line where she says, don't be so grim, Lan. There's something to celebrate.
Oh, he's like, she says, perhaps a little light in the darkness. Yeah.
What is she referencing?
I think it's because she had
I mean, it felt when I first read it, I was like, oh my gosh, she's happy. She's got Rand in her clutches. You know, there's such a sinister quality to that phrase.
Well, well, here's what's weird. I think at first it was because he was alive, and there was no assurance that Rand or Tam Althor had lived. Bella came back screaming. Bran Alvear had kind of said, "Oh boy, I thought you." Well, it doesn't matter, right? But he was going to say, "I thought you guys ate Trolloc sword." You know, you guys ate you guys did the dirt nap. You guys did the midnight bachelor party. You guys did the old Grunion run. You guys did the old
2 more.
The old scrapey dirt. Oh, I already used dirt. The scrapey turf bed blanket.
1 more.
You guys had that. God damn it! I'm suck at this. I shouldn't have cursed. You guys did the old yellow tie snafu.
Wait, what are we talking about? Dying?
Dying, yeah. We thought you did the old yellow tie snafu, but he's alive. But Land, come on, he's alive.
You know, we thought you were the caterpillar stuck in the cocoon. We thought you were the unbaked, the loaf that wasn't baked in the oven fully.
I thought you had sheathed the sword. So I think that's what it was, that she was like, "Well, oh, what do you know? The dragon still lives."
Okay. So you thought she was just like, yeah, you know, after 20 years, where our mission is now meaningful.
She gave 3 coins away, and one of them coins walked up right to her. So she's like, "Oh well, a little light in the darkness. What do you know?" Yeah.
Okay, so that's why I was wondering too. I wanted to go back to this really odd. I wanted to get your opinion on this. There's this really odd passage here. This is when Tom and Bran are talking, and he starts bringing up Coplands and Congers, and Tom says this. He says, "Oh, you mean the wagon load who came in just before dawn? They hadn't so much as smelled a Trolloc, and all they wanted to know is when festival's going to start, as if they couldn't see half the village in ashes." Okay. What is going on there?
Yeah.
Like,
you imagine just walking in town and buildings are burning. There's like a McDonald's on fire. There's a Pizza Hut on fire, but the Taco Bell's not touched. And you're like, "When can I get tacos?" And they're like, "What? There's everything's on fire around us. What are you talking about?" "I just want my tacos."
What are the implications though? Like, there's so many implications for that. Like, it's kind of like he's saying these people are like touched and, you know, touched mentally. Like, this goes beyond them being, you know, we've seen them be described as believing kind of wild conspiracy theories. We've seen them as being wildly rude. They'll tell you to your face their beliefs, but we haven't. This is a new dimension where all of a sudden a wagon load come in and they're just like like unaware of their surroundings, seeing fire, and they just walk up, say, "Hey, good, when's bell time?" This is kind of, you know, they keep mentioning inbreeding, and I'm wondering if they're just kind of, this is, you know, if they are a whole race, like kind of a family lineage of touched people, why are they so mean to them? You know what I mean? Like, they should be helpful, more helpful.
It is bizarre. I would expect that sort of phrase from Bran Alvear, per se, about the negativity of the Coplands and the Congers. However, this does come from Tom Maryland.
I know that's what's that's what I'm saying. He has no history with that. He observed them, and those are his observations. I'm saying, okay, so take it all together. What is happening?
I'd never really considered that aspect, that they might have been somewhat tainted. I always assume that they.
I'm not saying tainted. I'm saying touch. I'm trying to like mentally touch. Like touch is a kind of a nice way of saying that they're like mentally deficient, that they are somehow like underdeveloped because of the inbreeding. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm trying to use the nice word. So touch kind of is like to say like they're kind of like not cuckoo, like crazy, not like they've had bad experiences and they can't get out of their head. No, it's more like they were born unable to see that there are fires going on. like you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like touch, like, oh, they're like kind of slower and due to the inbreeding.
It does suggest that if there was no sort of mental deficiency, that it has a selfishness to a point that I've never seen before, where people are trying to put out fires and they're like, where's my honey cakes?
That's pretty. I just think that's really interesting. I would love to, I didn't prepare you for this conversation. So like, if you think about it, it's shocking once you really put all together. Like, what is he implying there? It's not funny anymore.
No,
right?
No.
It's like, oh, Copland, like, no, it's not funny anymore.
Right. And you have a stranger who's like, what's up with those guys? Those guys have no awareness at all.
Put it all together, that phrase is even more troubling. The idea that they keep mentioning the inbreeding it has to be significant. And I think that's just kind of a real subtle, way of adding depth to the place. Like, yeah, like, of course, there's going to be different people, being represented in this village. And of course, that means there's going to be certain people who have like deficiencies that aren't attributed to, magic or what have you. So, it could be one way of just saying, wow, look at how complicated the Two Rivers is, or it's just Robert Jordon having fun. I don't know what it is. And then there is the whole part where Tom is just spewing, kind of a little bit of an info dump, but it can't be qualified as an info dump because nothing is super clear. He starts talking about Laman's sin. He starts talking about them pouring over the dragon wall.
Actually, it's not Tom itself. It's Tam Althor.
Did I say Tom?
You said Tom. That's okay.
Did I say Tom Althor? Tom Althor. No, okay, I meant Tam.
So yeah, Tam Althor starts talking about this stuff in his fever dream, and well, actually, I think we might have an expert down here. Hold on, let me see what we got.
Oh, Mr. Carlin, Mr. Carlin.
It's been a minute.
It's been a while.
Student of history. That's Dan Carlin, me. Oh, my glasses fell. Hold on. All right.
Oh, great entrance as always. How you doing, Dan Carlin?
All right.
Let me introduce you, Dan Carlin, the esteemed podcaster, famous for his hardcore history podcast, Common Sense podcast, his many appearances on Joe Rogan. Mr. Dan Carlin, he's here to provide his insights into the Wheel of Time. Yay!
Ryan, my honor is only surpassed by your glory. So thank you. Thank you for letting me bask in it. I wanted to talk about what this whole fever dream actually was referencing. As we know, Tam Althor was a soldier As we know, Tam Althor was actually a soldier during the Io War. The Io War is what he was referencing as he was in his fever dream. He talks about Laman's sin. Well, the whole Io War started with the king of Carnheim, King Laman, who cut down the sapling of the Tree of Life that was given as a thank you gift from the IO. Very, very brief summation. So what he did is there was a sapling. The tree gave no seed. They gave a sapling as a thank you for the Carnhane's assistance. And this tree had been growing ever since until King Layman decided to cut this tree down and make a throne out of it. This was an insult to the IO culture that they could not accept, and they came crawling over the dragon wall, as Tam Althor states. He also mentioned that they got to the Shining Walls. So what they did is they attacked Carnhane and went all the way down past Dragon Mount to the walls of Tar Valon. It was only there that King Layman had been killed, and so their revenge being sustained, they all went home. It was during this that the soldier, Tam Althor, had seen enough of the killing, enough of the heat of battle, and went up into the mountain to try to get away from the heat of this battle. And this is where he found a woman who had just given birth and had perished. There was a baby in the snow. There was a cloth on him that had been blown away. And this is where we see that Tam Althor.
Oh, I was going to ask, can I get a Dan Carlin? Tam
Althor.
No. Tam Althor.
Tam Althor.
Good job.
This is where the soldier, Tam Althor, came across the infant, just newly born, Rand Althor. And so this is the whole context of his fever dream, is where Rand was found by what he thought was his father was actually his stepfather. And what he thought of his mother was, again, actually his, not step, I guess, adopted father and adopted mother. And so this is why Rand is questioning his lineage, his heritage, his entire story, to be honest, because this had never been forthcoming from Tam Althor.
Just keep doing it for me. Don't worry about the listener.
So when the Io woman was come across by Tam Althor. So, my name's Rand Althor, but I was asked to cut all this wood. And who was I asked to cut it by? Tam Althor. All right, guys, I gotta go. Bye.
That was a quick.
He's Tam Althor. I don't know what he was saying.
I'm worried about your voice now. I just felt bad the instant I asked you.
He's Tam Althor. Hold on. Much better. Much better.
Oh, boy. All right, you ready for my big question, my man?
I've been waiting about 2 days for your big question.
I've been waiting for this moment all my life. Hold on. I've been waiting for this moment all my life. Hold on. Hold on.
I remember.
I don't know this song. I know the first free phrase of every song, and then once it gets into me, I'm like, duh, I'm already bored. All right.
That was the song where Phil Collins called out someone he saw drown someone and didn't, right?
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh gosh, I really need some comment help with this. So I think that the story is that Phil Collins saw someone drown someone and didn't interact or intercede, I guess. But then he saw him at the show, like front row, center. This dude was like, yeah, Phil Collins, I love you. And Phil Collins like was just staring at him while singing this song. And I think the guy turned himself in and turned to a life of charity and hope and turned his life around.
Okay, so
you're something else.
Or okay. All right. Fascinating. I didn't know what I was bringing up with that song. I didn't even know it was Phil Collins. Who's that?
Phil Collins was he was in the movie. He was in the movie Jerry Maguire. He was he starred in quite a few Nissan commercials.
Okay, so let's move on to my big question. My big question is where I basically try and admit publicly that I read this series like a normal person who doesn't love fantasy. But now I'm not a normal person. I'm one of you. And I'm trying to learn how to read fantasy like you guys do. And when I talk to you guys, and you know who you are, when I talk to you guys online, it's a little troublesome. But let's go into my big question. So the big question is me. Once a week, I'm going to basically dive into the books and come up with a question on my own. I don't go anywhere beyond the books. I have the books. I got the companions. I got the big book of bad art, which I don't really read anyways. And I'm forming my questions this way. So, my big question.
Oh, nice. Oh, I miss this music.
Oh, sorry. Oh, did you catch me doing that?
Oh gosh, I'm still shaky. I went off. Oh God, I went off.
Oh, we're feeling it. Oh my gosh. All right. So the big, so that's what a good bumper music does. Let's talk about the big question for me. I need to do a little bit of sharing here for my big question. I'm going to do a little background. Here is
share time. Share time.
Here is a fellow who is breaking the world record for circular breathing. And now I'm just going to play this for a second and describe to you what he's doing. So this man is going to hold this note for 45 minutes straight. I'll lower that.
No, I'm sorry. This is your big question?
No, this is the. I need some background. I'm getting some background. So this man is going to hold this note for a very long time. All right. So let's cut this and let's go back to.
Just chirping.
All right. So now. All right. So circular breathing is a process where a musician will be able to exhale air, play their instrument while breathing in more air and creating a circular flowing effect where they can sustain a note for quite a long time. It is a known high-end kind of jazz ability that when you are able to do it, you show off how long you could perform solos without taking a breath. And it's a way to really kind of stand out amongst your peers because not everyone can circularly breathe.
Oh, Ryan, Kenny G just entered the chat.
He's famous for his ability to do that. You're right. It doesn't always produce amazing music. It's just an amazing ability. And you could learn it. Here is my question, though, and this relates to the series. how we learn that Moraine bears a cost when she is channeling. She gets very tired. Even though she has her Angriel, she still bears this physical cost. And I'm wondering, has there ever been discussion of, or is there any reason why that you are aware of that an Aes Sedai would not be able to do the kind of circular breathing technique with channeling where they are, getting, fulfilling, filling themselves up in a way through their, and expelling their magic in a way that they can produce kind of like a sustained ability to use their magic and not wear themselves out like we see with Moraine?
That's a good question. I would say that on their own, probably no, because it is considered like a river that they're either like embracing or fighting based on Saidar or Saidan. But it is a flow that does exhaust. But to your point, Ryan, I would say that this could be achieved on a solo level with the use of possibly an Angrial, in which that might be what's going on. Is there's a circular sort of breathing per se of the weave, or on a larger level, when you had like the Bowl of the Winds and the larger circles that were going on. So, for instance, Egwene was not in a situation where she was able to physically channel on her own based on fork group, but was able to command a circle of women. So this might be where that circular breathing concept might actually come into play, that it doesn't exhaust everyone. But on a singular level, I'm not sure if you can do it unless you have an Angriel.
No, and I guess I should have clarified. I'm always imagining an Angriel would have to be a part of this. Yeah. So I've always kind of envisioned. I mean, if someone beyond us is able to explain how it could happen without Angriel, I'd be stoked. But I also I do believe it would have to somehow involve an Angriel that you are siphoning, your one power. You're somehow able to put power into it, take power out of it in a measured way. I also can see that this would maybe be something that would be more relevant for maybe a healing Aes Sedai and a Yellow Aja who's more performing healing, where they can kind of, they're not pressured to respond in a kind of, to the heat of the battle. And maybe, you in battle, you might be able to kind of be more measured, but all of a sudden when it's boom, things hit the fan, you got to respond, and all of that could be thrown away. Like, so the circular breathing technique gets snapped when you have to really give a big jolt of one power or channeling energy. But I could definitely see it being something that, if really discovered and mastered, someone could be in a battlefield healing the entire time and not wearing themselves out.
Well, and actually, Ryan, as you were speaking, I think I came up with our solution here. So, So we have examples of where experienced channelers are able to perform a weave and tie that weave off. And so that weave is self-sustaining, and they don't need to do anything about it. It's still self-sustaining to a certain degree, and it's not physically draining on them as it's happening. It does it, and they tie it off, but it still is just kind of going. So that might be an example of where we have like a circular breathing per se. It's just not attached.
Did that make sense? Yes, it does. It makes a lot of sense. No, and I thought about the tying off, but you'd have to somehow tie off some sort of weave that is somehow siphoning power into you. So you somehow say, okay, I'm going to put some sort of source of energy over here, tie it off, and somehow be able to pull from it like a battery somehow.
Well, right, but we saw this world record was only like 45 minutes. So, yeah, a tied off weave doesn't last forever. It's able to sustain, and then it can't. And so it might not be like a constant physical thing that you do, but it could be kind of the same thing. Look at this guy.
Yeah, let's go. Let's head back. All right.
Is that Squidward?
He's just pacing around the room, circularly breathing, and saying, "Guys, I'm breaking the world record right now." All right. Yeah, I think it's just something I was thinking about. It seems like I'm sure there's some sort of explanation for it in the science that, Robert Jordon and basically had to invent to make his channeling consistent. So I'm sure in that science and the parameters he's invented, there's no way for what I'm thinking happened. But I'm also wondering, could like the Age of Legends, be is one of the ways that they were able to learn how to channel just kind of consistently without burning themselves out. Maybe that's one thing that happened that made them be able to advance along.
I like to think that these things happened on a very small scale. So let's say you just wanted your broom to just sweep your floor every morning. Mm-hmm. Is there any way we could just set like a timer, a sort of like powered timer, so I could be like Mickey Mouse in Fantasia, have the brooms do all this thing, but then have control of it and just have it happen every day?
So you're wishing that you could use the true source, the one power, to make a Roomba?
Ryan, if I could use the true source to get like super abs, I would weave that weave right now, buddy.
What are we working with? Show me what we're working with right now. Oh no! It's worse than I thought. Oh, wow. Okay, so well, thanks for participating. That's how the big question goes. If
Good
you guys,
question, Ryan.
Thank you. We're looking forward to some sort of interaction with you guys around this question. If you did know the answer, help me out. I really want to actually really know the answer if you know it. I'm sure we're wildly off base in our speculation, but we're trying to be honest. Where we're at, we're just in our second reread. We're in chapters 6 and 7, but next week, chapters 7 and 8.
Yay! Yes.
And we are closing the tavern door. All right. Oh, man. So,
Goodbye, tavern. I'll see you later, Grace. Goodbye, the shake hands laughing.
That was a great one.